4, 3, 2, 1.
Now, customers are the backbone of any and all businesses. If you want to get more customers, we've got to seduce you all.
You've got to progress. If you want to attract bigger people in your life, then you've got to become a bigger person. You've got to become better at your skill sets. You've got to immerse yourself into personal development. You've got to find a mentor. You've got to find one or two people that have the results that you want.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Untold Upline Secrets / the interviews. I'm extremely excited about the couple that I'm going to be interviewing here today. Now, before we get started, I must admit, I know some of you are going to notice this glare. You're going to notice this glare, like, why is there such a crazy glare going on? It's very, very sunny in Florida today, and this glare is coming through my living room. And I couldn't figure out how to get rid of it really quickly because I was just too excited about this interview here. So just bear with me. I believe the content will override the glare. So with that being said, I get to bring on a couple that I've been knowing for well over a decade plus. You know, we met in another company. We were sidelined and we got to know each other, but I was able to truly watch how this couple moves. The epitome of a power couple inside of our industry. You know, they have gone on to build a very, very large international business, a very strong customer base inside of their business. They are multiple seven-figure earners inside of this business. This business has allowed them to retire, has allowed them to have their dream home, has allowed them to enjoy the time with their family, enjoy the time with their beautiful animals. You're going to meet my man Steve here. He's an avid hunter, an avid fisherman, something that him and I really truly have in common. And his wife has just been a true rock and a rock star in this business. So I'm extremely excited to have them both here. So let's bring to the stage Jennifer and Steve Morgan. How you rock stars doing today?
Awesome, Sid. Thank you for having us. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm really good. Really good. What'd you say, Steve?
I was just saying your energy, man. Every time I hear you speak, I get fired up. And you're right, man. It's been almost 2 decades, bro. Do the math, man. It's been a long time, bro. So that's good.
It has, you know. Man, where did we initially meet? I've got the idea. I want to make sure I'm not screwing it up. Where did we initially meet?
A company called Visalis.
That's right. Well, I said that's what I figured. That was Visalis, and we knew each other a little bit before that. But I mean, Visalis was 14, almost 15 years ago. 15 years ago, and that's the power of relationships. I think that a lot of people don't understand how powerful relationships are, and we weren't even in the same organization, you know, but we always respected each other. So let's start off, you know, this way. I always start off with the same question for everybody in the beginning of these interviews. You know, there's going to be some people that know who you are. Then there's going to be some people that don't know who you are. So for the people that don't know who Jennifer and Steve Morgan is, please enlighten us.
Well, I feel like we're what you said, like a power couple. We love working together. We have big dreams, big goals, and we've always executed those goals and dreams together. And we're a couple of we have a lot of determination. We have a lot of grit. We have a lot of follow through. And we love people. We love people. We love changing lives. And we've always wrapped our whole lives around who can we help, whose life can we change. And I think that that's been our secret sauce.
We're also different. And that's one of the things that we learned as working as a couple is if we learned to lean on each other's strengths, man. And in the beginning, and like even a marriage or a friendship, if you can determine and leverage each other's strength, like our joke is we'll meet at the bank because you go do that, I'm gonna go do this, and we'll meet at the bank in a sense of we just rely on each other's strengths. And it's been very good and very, very fun for us to be able to work full-time together.
Nice. So when you say work full-time together, let's back it up a little bit because you guys have been in the industry for a long time. However, you were always entrepreneurs. So let's go before the industry. Like before this industry was introduced to you and you really, really caught that bug, what did you both do?
So when I met Steve, I owned a Gold's Gym. I was a personal trainer. My background is in health and wellness for over 30 years. I had a partner in Gold's Gym. In that gym, I had a tanning salon and juice bar, you name it. Before that, I owned my own tanning salon. So when I met Steve, he was an engineer. And so for Granite Construction, so together I wanted to do more, be more. So we decided we were going to open up our own landscape construction company. We did that for 14 years. We had one of the top landscape construction companies in the Sacramento region, Northern California. We did that for 14 years together and made multiple millions of dollars doing that. So very, very successful, but it was backbreaking work. We had golden handcuffs. We had the golden handcuffs and we knew it and we wanted out. And so, a friend of mine, when I was a personal trainer, introduced me to a juice, acai berry juice. And I didn't even know what the heck she was giving me, but she gave me a juice. And that was the beginning for us. I mean, I was like, wanted to share it with all my clients because I loved it. And then I received a check. It was my first check. And I was like, oh my gosh, me and Steve looked at the check and we're like, how do we get more of these checks? And that was the introduction into truly working from home. It wasn't until, 6 years ago that we've been able to retire full-time and do this full-time.
Yeah, my background, I was in the military for a lot of years. So if you're watching today, thank you for your service. If you've served before, thank you for your service. And it's important to share that because I was broke. Military people are broke. Like every massive major success story comes from somebody struggling. Mine was financially. I was an E5 broke. So when I met her, one of the number one things we wanted out of life is more. We didn't want to struggle. We wanted to be a pillar of hope. And, going into construction, I just thought the harder you work, the more money you're going to have. Well, that's true, but you can work smarter, not harder. And so this industry that we all love, and you're watching that we love, has really set us free. We just learned how to master it, how to embrace it, how to overcome it and enjoy it.
Awesome. Steve, what part of the military did you serve in?
United States Air Force. Well,
awesome.
Over a decade.
For how long? Over a decade. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're going to come back to that because I definitely have a question or two about how you were able to apply some of that discipline inside of your business, because I know you did. But I want to piggyback off of something that Jennifer said. Jennifer, you said you were introduced to an acai berry juice. What year was that? And what company was that? I think it rhymes with, R-O-E, something like that.
Yeah. Here's the thing. People always ask me details about this story. And I think it was 1999, maybe 1998, maybe. It was, yeah, I believe it was. Maybe it was even before that. No, it was 1998, 1999. And that company is no longer around right now, right? You know that, right? Yeah. So that brought us to another company that we got to partner, obviously with you and that was amazing. And it was great getting to know you too. But yeah, it was a long time ago. For sure.
Acai berry juice. We've all had some sort of berry juice in our life in some way, shape, or form. It's amazing how those berries can change our life. Now, you guys are already successful. I remember seeing so many posts of artificial grass that looked so good. I'm like, I don't know what these guys are doing, but man, they can turn somebody's yard into looking like a garden. And you guys made a lot of money doing that. So what initially got you into that specific field? Because obviously, you already had the Gold's Gym, you were successful doing that. And then did you guys come together for this landscaping business? Is that how it kind of worked?
I went to his company where he worked, Granite Construction, and he was the engineer, like head engineer guy there in management. And I looked around his office and I was like, man, how much do they pay you for doing this? Because you are so smart. Because he was telling me he was running big projects in downtown Tracy in Northern California. And when he told me how much he made, I said, you're crazy. We need to do this ourselves and go bigger. And so California is in a drought situation, huge drought situation. And so we decided that we would go into landscape construction. And focus on synthetic turf. And I knew with him, we could do anything. And he took that business. The first year we only made $35,000. I remember us stressed out, freaking out, you know, but we were determined, and we went on to continue. Like he said, we come from humble beginnings. My parents and his parents both. And so whatever we did, we had to work hard. You know, we had to work hard. We had to have a lot of determination and grit and follow through. And this guy right here, I'm going to give him all the credit for that business. I mean, he literally, I did the marketing, and he went out and made the sales and did the work and ran the cruise.
You know, it's what's important about what, you know, this story, and one of the things that I love about you is keeping it real. You know, my wife said something to me, and those of you that are watching this, you got to understand there's somebody in your life right now that believes in you. And she literally looked at me, she goes, "You're better than that. You're better than the $5,823 a month. You're better than that." And I don't know about you, but that hit home to me. You know, that hit home. And I took a need, right? And we found a solution for the need, which is synthetic grass from the drought. I mean, obviously the drought's over, but we took a need and we found a solution. And yeah, it was tough. And just like anything, any new business is tough, but I figured it out, and I worked through the kinks, and I had somebody that believed in me, and I went after it. And I'm not afraid to say it to this group, but you know, we made 6 figures a month, easy, selling fake grass. It's like, you know what I mean?
But try to lift one of those rolls. He had me try to lift one time, and I was like, okay, this is crazy. And I knew his back was bad, and this was not going to last another 20 years. Honestly, there's no way.
Yeah.
Well, especially now, I mean, in California, they're selling all types of grass now. I mean, you just go to the dispensary and get grass now. It's a little different. Right. It's crazy how the world has changed. Isn't it crazy how the world has changed? So you guys are making strong. What'd you say, Jennifer?
We got out just in time.
Yeah, I know, right? So you guys are making a strong 6 figures a month in that business. And you did that for how long? How many years did you have that business?
14.
Wow.
14 years.
Yeah.
14 years. 6 figures a month. First year was 35,000, and then things kind of took, and then things kind of took off. And I was seeing, because you know, you guys were always post some of your projects, and I was like, man, this is amazing. So when did you come to the conclusion, after doing so well, that you're like, you know what, we need to get out? And did you decide to sell, or did you guys just say, you know what, we just gotta get out of here and do something else?
When we came to this company that we're at right now, it was the first time that we ever really saw the kind of income that I felt like could set us free. And so I made a plan. I told Steve, I said, listen, I'm gonna save enough money that we have all the money we need for 12 months in our bank. You know, I'm just going to put it aside and save it. We're going to continue building, you know, working this business, and this business pays our bills and all the other fun things we want to do. We actually got that business, our construction business actually made over multiple 6 figures a month. So we knew we had to, you know, do something pretty significant to replace that income. But for us, it's not about the money. It's about freedom. You know, as you get older, you want the freedom. And so I told Steve, I wrote down all of our bills, all of our expenses that we spend money on, whether it be food, going out, traveling, whatever, and saved enough money to have that for a year. And then I told him that we would wind down our landscaping company. We tried to sell it, but everybody wanted a non-compete clause, and I was not willing to do that because it's what we knew what to do. And they said we couldn't ever do it again in Northern California. So I was like, no, we don't need that money. We're going to go ahead and wind it down, keep our license on inactive status. And we were able to do that within a year, you know, a year later. And we never looked back, it was like, we never looked back. It was the best thing to bring him home full time and work full time together. It's like a dream come true, honestly.
But as always, there's a lesson, right? There's a lesson. Mm-hmm. And even though I was working that 7 days a week, I still carved out time to build what we have now. And those of you that are watching, when somebody says, well, I'm busy, no, trust me, man, 13 hours a day of hard labor, and you come home and you apply yourself, it's paid off big time for us. So,
man, that was a big chance too. I mean, yeah. I know you guys are doing well. I already know that. But man, most people wouldn't take a chance of walking away from multiple 6 figures a month. And ladies and gentlemen, we're not talking about, 100, 200 grand a month, like really, really good money, and you're walking away from that. That was significant. That was significant. So Jennifer, let me ask you, you said you saved up 12 months. When did the switch go off? Like, was it 12 months later, 14 months later, 18 months later? Like, when did the switch go off? Because you didn't go from 0 to 6 figures a month in 6 months. That didn't happen. Like, so when did the switch go off to say, okay, we can actually wind this down? Like, how long did it take for you guys to do that?
A year into our business. We did make, very, very close to 6 figures a month. And so we were able to pay off, all our debt except for our home. And so I was like, okay, this is good. And this made me feel like it was possible. But here's the thing. I know that if we could have kept the landscaping business and done both, but the time freedom wasn't there. I mean, I saw his attitude shift every single Sunday afternoon, knowing that Monday he would have to meet the guys on the job. And Mondays, if you've ever had employees, it's the hardest thing about business is employees. And so I would see his attitude shift and he wasn't happy. And I feel like there's no dollar amount that can replace the freedom and the happiness. And how much do we really need? How much do we really need? And I was just looking at our future. I mean, I wanted him to be healthy. I love the outdoors. We love to hike. We love to go out and do things. And so we didn't want to be home on Monday, every single Monday anymore. And I was willing to give all that up. If I had to change my lifestyle a little bit, I would, but thank God we didn't have to. But still, I was willing to do that because I wanted him home and I wanted to enjoy him more. And I saw, that how hard he was working. And that when you own your own business like that, your mind never turns off because you're always thinking about your trucks on the roads and things like that are happening and the liability out there. And so a lot of that has to come into play, right? And so a year into it, I was like, you know what, this is it. I mean, we've found, our forever home and it's going to change our lives. And it has. And because we believed it and we put all of our efforts into it, it's been a true blessing, honestly.
Yeah. We've learned a lot too. I mean, you can make, $20,000 a month and have $19,000 in bills, or you can make $20,000 a month and have no bills. That's a whole, once that mindset shifts, I mean, that's like everything in your life changes for the better when you learn to understand money. And I know you're a financial guy. Well, I've learned a lot from you, young man. So that we teach people that don't let debt rule your life. So we saved enough money. She did a lot of that. And we changed our lives are just so much freer because of our mindset shift.
That's awesome. And you guys have a very, very beautiful house. When you working for something and you know what the goals are, magical things can happen. So let's talk about this. Let's dive deep now. Now we've got the surface level stuff out of the way, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go deep. So, you've only been in a couple of companies and we were sidelined in one company, and then we actually came together in another company in 2014. And I was lucky enough to be your upline there, and it was fun. It was really, really fun. However, after a few years, and I write about this in the book, actually, I talk about some challenges that happened in an opportunity that is like, this Amazon thing is killing us. Like this over here is happening, this over here. So you guys had to go through a transition into the company that you're in right now. Talk to us about transition, because I remember having a conversation with you guys, and you do everything with integrity, and I really truly appreciate that. And that conversation was deep. It wasn't something we're leaving because of this reason. That it was an integrity thing, and I truly appreciate that. But let's talk about the transition. Like how hard was that when you start to think about some people are going to come, some people aren't going to come, some people are going to look at you a certain way, this, that, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't the easiest transition in the beginning. We won't get into every detail. It wasn't the easiest transition in the beginning, but let's talk about that, because some people are going through that right now. And, some people have gone through it in the past. And when these interviews are released, it's going to be released at the beginning of the year. And you know, a lot of people will be in that mode. So, you know, let's talk about that for a little bit.
I personally can say that whenever Steve and I decide to make a transition, we definitely take it seriously. And it can be very, very scary. Like you said, there's some people that want to come and some people that don't. But for us, we make transitions based on our morals and values for starters, and what we feel is fair for the team. And, you know, when a ship is sinking, in my opinion, or when something doesn't feel right, in my opinion, it's time to move on. And I can see the writing on the wall because I feel like I'm pretty good at business. You know, I've been a part of a lot of businesses, but for us, it's a morals and value thing. Can I look someone in the eye? Can I share with them what I'm sharing with them and really truly mean what I say when they can get better health or better way of life? And if I don't feel that anymore, it's time to move on. And we've walked away from a substantial income in Visalis. I mean, Visalis was one of those companies that we walked away from a really good income, but we just no longer believed in what we were doing, you know, and that people can truly win with us. And so we take it very seriously, but we do believe in ourselves. And I think that's the thing, is that you have to believe in yourself, and we're not a one-hit wonder, and we've had success in the past, and we'll have success again, and we'll have success anywhere we go, because we won't go anywhere that we don't believe in the products or services. And I think that that's the key to building a big team and a big business, is that you need to believe yourself in what you are doing. And if you don't, then you got to believe in yourself. You got to invest in personal development. Now, you say it all the time, Ced, you're never going to outgrow your leadership lid, right? You're never going to out-earn that leadership lid. And so we're constantly learning. We're constantly growing. We're very humble in knowing that we don't know everything. And we're always willing to learn from anybody that has something to teach us that we don't know yet, right? So I feel like the biggest thing for us is that we believe in each other. And we know that no matter where we go, we're going to do some great things if we go where we feel there's something for us to offer.
I'm a weird duck. So if a word stands out to me, like clarity, or in this case, alignment, like if something doesn't align with us, you can't put a price tag on it. Like it's one of those things where it doesn't feel good, right? So when we left, yeah, it's scary. But if something or someone doesn't align with us, it's called industry maturity, right? Industry maturity, right? We've learned that if something or someone doesn't align with us, it's not a good fit anyways. Like, so we've learned through our learning process and our maturity process in the industry to acknowledge that, hey, that's not who we are, and that doesn't align with who we are. So we've learned to just disconnect with the outcome of if somebody, doesn't align or morals and values don't align, because we know who we are, and we know what we're about, and we know where we're headed. Does that make sense? So the word alignment is where I would plug in for the answer to that.
Alignment is key, and sometimes it's that little two-worded thing too called the Holy Spirit that can guide you, that can say, hey, you know what? I don't know. When you keep getting that nudge, I call it the inner nudge. When you keep getting that nudge, it's a clue. It's a clue. And the more you ignore that nudge, the more it comes back later to prove to you that it came in your gut for a reason. And I think that most people really, really, truly ignore that. So let's take it a step further as well. Ever since I've known you guys, you've been in the health and wellness arena. Okay. Why health and wellness?
I'll answer that, because ever since I was 18, I've been obsessed with health and wellness, been in the gym since I was 18 years old. I don't think you have anything without your health. And until you get sick, and until you have life, it's not if life happens, it's when life happens for people. And I've seen life happen for a lot of people. And so I'm very passionate about health and wellness. I think that it's the main thing we need to be focusing on when it comes to anything, like from the second we wake up. Are we going to drink water first thing in the morning? Are you going to drink your coffee first? I've always thought like that. And so it's my passion. I love helping people get healthy. I love helping people stay healthy. I want to live a long life, but I don't want to retire. I don't want to be like in my 60s and 70s and say, you know what, we can't go on that hike. My legs don't work that well, or, your stomach, your gut health is bad. So, you're just not enjoying life because your brain doesn't think when your stomach's not healthy. So it all means so much to me. And if I could help people turn their health around, to me, that is significant.
For me, I'm super competitive, bro. And you know this, man. You know me, bro. Like, I'm super competitive. So I want to be optimal. I want to be my best. Check this out. Here's a funny story. This is my trainer. I married my trainer. Nobody knows that.
You're a closer. You're a closer, Steve. I ain't mad at you. You chose well, brother. Good job. Good job. You closer, you.
Right. So for me, I'm just competitive. I think I want to be my optimum. I want to be my best. I want to perform my best. I want to look my best. It's something all of us should want. So when I met her, she was my trainer, and she kicked my butt. And I said, I got to know more about this girl. So I married my trainers because I want to be my best. So
nice. Hey, that's a win-win in itself. That is a win-win in itself. Now, you built some very large businesses. You've got a health and wellness business going right now, and one of the things that I've seen a switch in the industry that I want to definitely talk to you guys about, because I think that you saw it early. Some people didn't see it as early as some of us did, but there's a switch in the industry going on that's leaning hard on customer acquisition. Customer acquisition, we got in the game. I first got introduced to network marketing in 1999. So back in the day, a lot of things were focused on recruiting, get as many people as you can get. And there wasn't really a big focus on customer acquisition. Now, the pendulum has shifted. And you guys have a very, very big customer business as well. Talk to us about why is it so important to have a lot of customers. And then let's also talk a little bit about, and feel free to go as long as you want on this. Let's talk. I want to talk about prices too, because that's a big deal. You guys have figured that part out as well, because the game is changing right now. Like the old days of, 7, 10, 12x the price of a product, man, those days are kind of gone. So let's spend some time on that.
Awesome. This is my favorite topic. I actually just did a training for Fraser Brooks. I don't know if you know who he is, but I did a training on custom. He had me on as a success summit, and that was my topic, because listen, all the way from the gym business, we had no gym without our customers, right? So our EFT dues line was based on our customers. And so 82% of our business is customers. And it's probably your business too, because really think about it. Everybody that comes into a business, they say they want to join for the business, but they're really just a customer. They might enroll 1 or 2 people the whole time they're there. And there's like 1 or 2% that are going to enroll, and be your rock stars. Right. So, but I still want them to be my customer. And that's the thing. It's like, we need to treat customers like a nugget of gold, and we need to slow down. We get so excited about enrolling someone that we just enroll them and kind of forget about them. But it's really important to touch those customers 3 or 4 times through the month. And that's what we like to do, follow up with them. Did you get your package? Do you like what you have any questions? We always make sure that our customers don't feel like a number. They're not just a number to us. They are special to us. And, there's apps out there that as your team grows big that you can utilize. The Boards app, you can utilize Project Broadcast. You can get out a message to all your customers by their first name in 30 seconds. And so it's really, you can create drip funnels with mini chat and things like that. So there's a lot of great apps to make your life easy. But for us, our customers are the biggest part of our residual check, right? It's their repeat income that comes in month after month after month. And so if you set up your customers and you help them shop, and if you help them understand your products, maybe you have 2 products, maybe you have 400 products. Find those products that are going to best suit them. Make sure that they're having, that you're getting a testimony for them, that they're using those products, because why would they want to shop next month if you didn't make sure that they got all those products this month? A lot of times they can get their box and it can sit on their counter for a week. It's our responsibility. For me, I follow up with them within their first 7 days and say, hey, listen, I want to make sure you got your box. I want to make sure you're using the product. Open that box right now. Let's go through it. And I take that time with each and every customer. And if you build that, culture through your team, then everyone's doing that. You want to plug them into a customer only group page. You want to celebrate them when they've been there 2 months, 6 months, a year. They need to feel special. And when they feel special, then guess what gets to happen? Number one, they're probably not quit because you've made them feel so special. Number two, you can ask them for a referral. And that's the $1 million question for me, because I've asked some of my customers for referrals and they've led me to my biggest income earners in my team today, is a referral from a customer. If you do not treat your customers amazing and they feel like just a number, they're not going to feel comfortable sending their friends to you. But when you treat them amazing, they're going to say, you know what, you take good care of me, Jen. I know you're going to take care of my friend. I'm going to go ahead and send over my friends to you. And I get customer referrals all the time. And so I really, for me and Steve, our customers are gold to us.
Yeah. So that's powerful, guys. I don't know if you caught all that. That's good stuff right there. Like, one of the number one things that almost all entrepreneurs are after is repeat or residual income. Well, how do you get that? You get that by retention. Retention comes from customer service, or making somebody feel amazing. But let's talk about what you talked about: price points. Price points. From our experience, your experience, from anybody's been in the industry long enough, they're going to understand that when we call them red flags, right? When something's way overpriced, let's be real. There's a strong chance that person's not going to be around 3 to 5 months. That takes away your repeat income or your residual income. You've got to make it affordable. Something's got to be affordable for that person, because deep down inside, they want to consume. They love you. They love what you're offering them. But if they can't afford it, they're not going to stay around. And we've all experienced that. Or like you touched on, but you didn't go deeper on, young man, is that some of these companies allow things to be sold on Amazon, and then they undercut their people. But when somebody feels welcome, they feel loved, they feel appreciated, and they can afford a product, they don't go anywhere. We have a 95.52% retention rate every single month here. That's powerful. And that's what hold on,
pause. I don't want that to go over anybody's head. You have a 95% retention rate with your customers and your current team right now.
Yes, sir. 100%. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is accurate as can be. Yes, sir.
I hope you guys really got that.
Yeah, and sometimes it's 94.5, but it's right. It's between the two right there, and it fluctuates back and forth. And I don't have a problem if a customer is canceling for any reason. I call them and find out why. I want to make sure I couldn't have done something better. And they always come back. It was just a timing thing, or they're moving, or they're going to be traveling for the next 3 months or whatever. So yeah, but I like what Steve said about the price point too, because you guys, and necessity items, there's some things that people try to get into that for me is like, it's overpriced, but it's not a necessity either. So that changes the game too. Or like you said, you find it on Amazon. We've had that problem in the past where why should I buy it from you when I could get it on Amazon for half the price? And so that doesn't, that's something that you want to be aware of too,
It goes back to the integrity thing that you were talking about, right? Something else we've learned too is we don't, when the truth is good enough, you don't have to hype anything. When you know it's valuable and they're going to see value in it, and they're going to see value in who you are. Because let's be honest, people join you, but then you add those other flavors, hey, the price points, the convenience, the necessity. It has to be a well-rounded place of impact for that person.
No, true story. I'm still not over the 94% retention. Like I don't think most people really understand how deep that is, because it's just like you said, Steve, it's the residual. Your goal is to build the residual. Now I'm just under the impression, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm under the impression that if you didn't have a retention rate so high, you probably wouldn't have been able to wind down that 6-figure monthly business as fast as you have. That you did, because most people couldn't do that. Because if you've got customers falling out of the bottom every 90 days, and you got to keep replacing them and keep replacing them and keep replacing them and keep replacing them, you got to look at that multiple 6 figures a month and say, well, I don't know. I don't know, but you found something otherwise. So I applaud you guys for that. That's deep.
It's actually very accurate, and that's why I never wound down my construction company with all those other companies, because it didn't sit here. I just knew in my heart of hearts, you got to have all the pieces of the puzzle. You got to have them all. And so because of her and the story we shared earlier, it's like you can make multiple six figures a month, and that's great. And we all want that. And trust me, it's good. But you can make that and have over 70% of it in bills, or you can be smart and make that money or less money and not have any bills. Mm-hmm. That's a whole different world.
Yeah. We walked away from multiple six figures in our landscaping company because it was so much work, like we talked about. And where we're at now, you don't need that. There's no overhead. There's no overhead. We have no overhead. We paid off our home. We don't have any overhead. I mean, someone can make very little and still have a great life, right? But we're fortunate to do really, really well. We don't make multiple six figures here, but we make really good money. And but a month is what I'm saying. A month we make, really good money. And it's been a blessing for sure.
Okay, well, maybe it's not multiple a month, but it's, singular, and the reality of it is, listen, anytime somebody can make $1 million plus a year in their direct selling business, they're doing something magical. But this is where I think we monkey branch into the next segment perfectly. You paid off your home. You guys have done very, very well for yourselves, and you're making a solid 7-figure annual income inside of your current opportunity right now. Let's talk about being smart with your money. What are some of the things that you guys have done? Because if you know that there's challenges in this industry, there's challenges where, because people come from an employee mindset, they start making $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 a month, and they live off of $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 a month. And for whatever reason, they got to jump ship to the next deal, and they got to get some sort of package or something because their money is funny, or whatever the case may be, they spent it all. Like, what are some of the things that you guys have done to safeguard that and to allow your money to work for you and to be smart about it?
Well, we're a lot like you. We love the whole gold and silver. My dad's an investor in gold and silver. Also, in just multiple streams of income as far as crypto goes. We're invested in that, and now we're looking at land and, real estate opportunities really was what we're doing. We also, set ourselves up with, in our trust, a really, really great financial advisor set us up. So we have some great tax benefits with that too, big time. And we're really focused right now on our real estate portfolio.
Our wings are spread.
Yeah.
How about that? Like we believe in being smart with your money. I do attribute it a lot to her, but we read a lot, and we want to stay always 2 steps ahead, which is my military mindset. A good soldier is a prepared soldier, so we're always prepared, and we always keep our eyes open to see what's happening in the world and what changes that are coming, so we can stay ahead of those, right? Like land never loses value. It doesn't. It just doesn't lose value. Things in the financial industry, this way better than I do, young man. But you've got to stay with the changes, So crypto was very appealing to us. Mm-hmm. We're just very diversified. We're very diversified.
Smart move. I got this philosophy that let's invest in things that God isn't making more of. It's not making any more dirt. It's not making any more dirt, so you're investing in the land. It's not making any more gold and silver. You're getting into. Now, there's going to be some people that'll pop up with some new crypto coins, because Lord knows there's a new one every doggone day. But the trajectory that we have seen, it's smart to be inside of that niche. It's so interesting that you say what you said. I'm gonna pull up this price point here really quickly right before I say what I'm getting ready to say. Because I put this post up earlier today, and okay, I think you guys will appreciate the post. And I saw you liked it as well, Steve. So for the people that didn't see it, I'm gonna repeat it. And I said, I remember people telling me I was crazy for buying gold weekly for years. Now with wars, inflation, and one crazy economy, gold is at $2,001 today, up $23.60. Now, lo and behold, when I took the snapshot of the gold chart, it began in 2014, the beginning of this snapshot. Okay, but I've been investing since 2003. But the reason why I say that that's significant is that is that year that we actually joined that particular company. And I remember every week I was doing extremely well, 5 figures a week. And I was at the gold dealer every week, every stinking week. Now, when we look back in 2014, gold was $1,200. It was $1,200. Today it's $2,000. And some people don't understand that it's just a hedge against inflation. If you use it as it's a hedge, it's like, well, I get gold, I get silver. What do I do with it? Just let it chill. Just leave it alone. It's a hedge against inflation because what you could buy in 2014 is a little bit more expensive in 2024 and 2023. But that gold coin has gone up, what, 700%? Whatever the number is. It's crazy. That alone bought you more bread. That one coin bought you more gas. And most people don't get that. Now, you said something else as well, Jennifer. We don't have to go too deep into this, but I want to touch on it because I think it's important. And the reason why I say I don't want to go too deep into it, because it can go over some people's heads. You talked about a trust. And most people don't understand it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much you keep. So what was some of the reasoning for going down that route?
I put out a post once, it was a couple of years ago, saying that I had to pay $250,000 in taxes. It's hard to write that check. It's hard to write that check, right? But you make money, you pay money. And I had a friend reach out to me and said, listen, we got to talk, right? And so it opened my eyes to a whole new world of, how the elite pay their taxes and, the complex irrevocable trust and all of those things. And I was all ears. Obviously, I've learned so much since then. I've gone to lots of meetings, learned about it, how to have a family trust, a business trust, and a foundation, and the importance of funneling your money through those things and for the tax advantages. And so what really got me inspired to learn about it was my tax bill every single year. It was like, yeah, you make this much money, but you're going to pay this much money in taxes. And that's just not the case for us anymore. And it's been a huge blessing. And think about how many gold coins you can buy with $250,000. And I'm like, and it's my dad, I was raised every birthday, every holiday, just our grandkids, what did they get for Christmas? My dad, we went over there, he's 89 years old. Coins. He gave them silver coins in their card because my dad's been an investor my whole life. And I used to think he was silly, but he gets the last laugh right now, right? So gold and silver is all he's ever invested in. And I think that if he was younger, he'd try the Bitcoin and the Ethereum and all that stuff. But he studies it, but I think it just freaks him out a little bit.
Two things I think every viewer needs to understand is when you get information like Cedrick shares and we're sharing with you today is apply it. Like, right. We one of the things that we've always done really well is we go after and take advice from people that are in the shoes that we want to be in. Yeah. And we don't take advice from people that aren't in the shoes we want to be in. And if that makes sense to you, it should. But that's one of the things that we've studied and learned from the greats. We follow and study and learn from the people of the shoes that we want to be in.
And Cedrick, I want to share a story that really got us interested in these trusts. Where when Steve first got his truck in 2015, 30 days after he had it, this gentleman hit him with his sports car and totaled Steve's truck. And he was under the influence and everything, and we were deemed not responsible. But this guy tried to sue us 3 times. And it always got thrown out of court. So finally, he went down to LA, got some high-powered attorneys, and they served us each with $1 million lawsuit. And I was thinking, this guy can take our house. You know what I'm talking about? Like, Hold
on. Time out.
Yeah.
He was drunk. He ran into you, totaled your truck. You were deemed not responsible, and he's trying to sue you for $1 million.
Give him the details. Okay. 67 miles on a 25-mile-an-hour turn almost killed me, and a loaded gun in the glove box. Yeah. Carry on.
Okay. And at that point, he went to LA. This is the third or fourth time he tried to sue us. And he got these attorneys that they were just high powered. And for some reason, our insurance company folded and paid him his $2 million. And we weren't deemed responsible or anything, but we just thought, we heard this, I think it's Rockefeller that says, the key to life is to control everything and own nothing. Own nothing.
Exactly.
So we don't own anything anymore. We don't own our house. We don't own our car. We own our cars because those are liabilities. That's the only thing we have in our name, because they are a liability. But we don't, anything that's of an asset, we put in our family trust or our business trust, or our family trust mostly, or a charitable trust. Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah. So we learned a lot about that. When you start making good money, you become targets for people too. When you start owning a lot of assets, you become targets for a lot of people. A lot of people, sue happy people in this world, and we got a taste of that, and that's what really got us interested.
Eye-opening, very eye-opening.
You can lose it just like that,
Sometimes that's all it takes. It's that one decision or that one challenge that wakes you up. It says, hold on for a second. Hold up. I remember having that deep conversation with my attorney. Control, own nothing, control everything. People understand that sentence. When they understand that sentence, their life can definitely change. Now, I want to go down the rabbit hole a little bit further from your dad, Jennifer, because I think you said something that some people didn't get. And I mentioned this before in a previous video, and it's something that I actually do right now. I've been doing it for the past couple of years. And, I started off with, I remember having a conversation with my daughters, and I said, I don't remember anything that my dad got us for Christmas. My mom was a Jehovah's Witness, so she didn't even celebrate Christmas. But my dad was a Baptist, so it was like you got two different religions in the same household. So it's like mom walked past the Christmas tree on the 25th. It's nothing. But dad gonna go all out. But I don't remember the G.I. Joes. I don't remember the Nintendos. I don't remember the Ataris, the boom boxes. Well, I remember them, but at 48 years old, where are they? Where's the bike? Where's the this? Where's the that? And I sat still and I had this conversation with my daughter, my oldest daughter. And the first year I had it with her because my oldest daughter, I love my grandkids. They're so beautiful and they're going to be just rock stars. But my oldest daughter will just go all out. And I remember it was one year that I wasn't in Virginia. She FaceTimed me and I saw all the stuff. She was 1 year old. And I was like, what did y'all do? And it was just the whole living room was just full of stuff. And I'm like,
I know where you're going.
I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, you do realize like in a year, she's not going to be able to fit that. These toys are going to be given away. All these. So I had this conversation with her because I had her open up a crypto wallet. And I said, every year, I'm giving Mia $500 worth of Bitcoin or Ethereum until she's 18, and I'm going to give her 20 ounces of silver. That's what she gets. That's her. Dad, there's nothing to play. You're right. She's not going to play with it. There is nothing to play with because when she turns 18, she's going to realize that her papa saw something that y'all didn't, because I can guarantee that at $37,000 Bitcoin right now, she's 5 years old right now. In 13 years, Bitcoin isn't going to be 37,000. And 13 years, gold isn't going to be $2,000 an ounce. And 13 years, silver isn't going to be $23 an ounce. So was this something that was this a conversation that your dad had with you? Was there some shift in the thinking that made you think, hold on for a second, like, my dad's on to something, and you kind of transition into that same thought process?
Here's the thing. My dad, no, he didn't really have those conversations with us. He did talk to us about gold and silver. My dad was, if you read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he was that small business minded person, he was a very safe person. He felt the gold and silver were very safe, and they are. But he didn't think big like that. He didn't think, oh, I'm going to invest. He just told us to hold on to this. Steve and I with our grandkids, our grandbaby's having her birthday December the 1st. And we just had a party for her and we got a couple of things. But I told Steve, we're going to open up an account for her. That's what we're going to do. Because just like you said, I wish somebody did that for me. I wish somebody had, I had enough money, to either keep it riding or purchase a home or my first car or something. And they're going to be like, thank you. My grandpa, my pops got me my first car, my home, or my education or whatever it is. It's so much bigger than a toy. And I think that every grandparent or parent should be doing that for their kid right now. I think, like you said, get them a little something, but you don't have to go extravagant. Take that money and invest it for them. And I think that's so huge. My dad, he always told us to do it. And he was very passionate about it, but he didn't open up an account for us. And I think it's because they were very, and still are, they live on $3,500 a month. You know what I mean? So it's like they had 4 girls, and my dad had a good job, but my mom stayed home to raise us. And so I just don't think they had the extra money to do that for us. Whatever money he did have, though, he just bought himself gold coins with and silver coins with. And I think my dad should have sold some of his gold coins back when it was super, super high, because he's 89 years old, but he's like, now he's saving it all for us, I guess, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it all boils down to the message, right? What message are you sending? What do you want your kids to learn as they grow? I mean, we took our girls out and bought them cars cash, and when they both were age, and the look on their face was like, oh my God, you can do that? Absolutely. If you work hard and you're smart and you don't waste your money, then you're able to do that. So it's all about the message, right? What do you want to teach your kids and the next generation?
You're right. You know, the only tricky part about that, though, Steve, is that when you do it, and in my luck, you know, I've learned. You know what I've learned about buying cars cash for your kids? I've learned that the first car should be one that they should beat up, because something's going to happen to that doggone car. Like it, I didn't realize that until after the fact. Now, maybe everybody didn't go through that, but man, like my youngest daughter, you know, she actually, it was in Vasalis. I never forget it because I did the video. I got her a BMW. She was 16 years old. I got her a BMW, you know, and I did the whole video, the whole thing. She was so excited, like so excited to get the BMW. She didn't know what to do with herself. You know, we were crushing it in Vasalis. Drove her to school that morning, and she had to drive to school. And I'm like, well, Dad didn't get a rental car, so like, and you're in school for the next 8 hours, so I'm taking the car. But Dad, I'm like, no, I will be back. Like, you're in school, like get out at 2 o'clock. Like, I don't have a rental car. Like, I'm keeping this for the next 2 days, and I'm leaving. Man, 2 years later, the car was dead. Like dead. Like I don't know how you kill a car, but my 2 daughters have learned how to kill a car. Kill it that it doesn't start it. Nothing. I'm like, how do you do this? Then I get her another one. I get her a Lexus. How do you kill a Lexus?
Oh,
how do you
hard.
kill a 2007 Lexus with 60,000 miles on it? How do you kill that? A GS 350. You get in the car accident and it's crushed, and you look at them like, oh my God, I love that car. I just gave it to you. Like, I loved it. So for those of y'all that are listening, be smart, especially when the kids are like 16 to 17. Sometimes you got to give them that beater first. Give them that beater.
We definitely got them Honda Accords, and both of them were over 12 years old. Trust me.
You can't kill a Honda Accord. Listen, that car I've had, if there's one car that I've had the most of, it's a Honda Accord.
Yeah.
The most growing up, because you can't kill them. Yeah. And from 1986 and 1989, it was the same body, and they're interchangeable parts. And man, I'll keep buying it over and over and over and over and over and reselling one and buying it, never titling the car. I'm snitching on myself, but it's past the statute of limitations a long time ago. But you can't kill that car. You put 200,000-300,000 miles on that car. So you're right. You're absolutely right. So I love it. So let's go ahead, Jennifer.
I was going to say, I struggle with buying the kids things like that. And this is why my dad didn't buy me anything. His motto to me was, Jen, there's no free lunches. You need to go out there and work hard. And because he raised me like that, I think that's why I'm such a hustler today. Like I'm so, as I'm a hard worker, because my dad, when I turned 18, he said, you're paying rent at home. If you're not going to full-time school, you're doing, you're going to get your own car. I'm not co-signing for anything. You need to go figure it out. And so I figured it out. And I think that's part of why I am who I am today. And sometimes I think that if we give them too much without letting them try to learn how to save their own money, learn how to build their credit and do all that stuff, it's sometimes it's good and sometimes it can work against them. You know, you just never know. You just never know. So I struggle with both of those in a way. But we made it right. Yeah.
Tricky. It could be,
Yep.
it could be, you know, I'll tell you a story I think that relates to this. You know, my oldest daughter, when she was a freshman at Virginia State, she couldn't drive until she was a sophomore. Can't drive as a freshman. So I found a 1996 Acura Legend with 80,000 miles on it. An Acura is only a Honda. You can't kill a car. The car was mint. Older people had the car, and it had 80-something thousand miles on it. The car was mint. I went and put a new stereo in it and put a car alarm on it. That was it. I drove that car from Florida to Virginia to give it to my daughter. When I gave it to my daughter, I pulled up and my daughter just looked at the car. She was like, nice. And she looked at me and she was like, thanks, Dad. And the response was really chill. Now, granted, I drove this car 12 hours. 4 hours into the trip, the 30-day tag blew off the car. So I had to take a chance on driving all the way to Virginia with no tag on the car. Not a good idea, but I made it, right? I looked at her and I said, why did you respond that way? Because you didn't respond very grateful. You know, when I got my youngest her car, she was doing cartwheels. She looked at me and she was like, because my dad is Cedrick Harris. And I'm like, what does that mean? My dad is Willie Harris. I don't understand. I was expecting a BMW or a Mercedes or this and then. I said, oh, okay. That's where we got a challenge at. Because you have a car. Like you're in college. You don't need a BMW or a Mercedes in college. And I think that you're right. It's how we raise our kids, and she learned after the fact, so it all worked out. But I think that we can instill the wrong things in them because they can be around us and they see success, and sometimes they think that it came a little easier when it really didn't. And when they have to struggle and go through it for themselves, they respect it more. Same reason why, you know, people that hit the lottery are broke in 5 years because nobody told them what to do with 50 million bucks. 10 million bucks. Right. They raise. They don't understand. So, but man, we could spend 2 hours on this, but we won't go there. Let's shift this topic here really quickly. Let's talk a little bit about marketing. You know, you guys, you know, Jennifer, in the turf business, you did the marketing, you know, for the business. Obviously now you both are full-time inside of your health and wellness business. What are some of the things that you guys do for marketing when it comes down to attracting, you know, new distributors to your business as well as new customers to your business?
I'm in our former companies, we made it all about the company. And, you know, we could tattoo their name on our body and they would be so happy about that. And you know, I realized that was a mistake. People don't join, you know, companies and products, they join you. And it's really important that you brand yourself. And I feel like that's what we learned how to do. And that's what where we made the shift is like, who's Jennifer and Steve Morgan, and let people see our lives, let them see us organically, and just be transparent about who we are, what we love to do. And we want to attract, honestly, Cedrick, like-minded people. We want to attract people that we enjoy spending time with. And so you know, I talk about, and I just talk about things I love. You know, if I love health, I love my dogs, I love my family. I show us hiking, I show us doing that stuff. And I show us, you know, obviously having some success in our business, but I am really strategic in the fact that I really want people to know who Steve and I are, you know, and if they're attracted to us, they see we're building a business, they come out. I've had so many people ask us, hey, what do you guys do? I can't figure it out, but I know you do something. You know what I mean? Tell me more about that. So I like more the curiosity type posts and just more of, you know, attraction marketing, like you said, just learning. And that's why you know, this year I've really focused on working with Fraser Brooks because I think he's amazing in teaching people that. And so that's where I'm working right now. And this is going to be an amazing year. Right. So I'm excited about that, but that's really for me anyways. I'm more focused on who is Jennifer Morgan and to attract people like-minded for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think energy draws energy, and people She's right. She's 100% right. And there's no arguing that you want to portray who you want to attract. So one of the campaigns that I did for a lot of years was practice what you preach, practice what you preach. I mean, I did it for month after month after month, and people started catching on to that. Well, yeah, you are who you are, you are who you say you are. You're not vomiting. The number one thing we get is, what do you two do? And as a network marketer, isn't that what we want anyways? We want people to come into your inbox and go, what do you do? Like versus our last companies, we used to vomit. XYZ company. Well, XYZ company. Then people go, well, I enrolled, so I'm with you. No, where, how, what did you? No. The right way to do it is find your message, find out who you are and what you want to attract, and stick to that, and be consistent with it, and be who you really are. Don't be fake. Ugh.
You're so good at that, Cedrick. You're really great at giving massive value and just always dropping so many great nuggets. I mean, like it just flows for you, and it just shows that, you're in a really good space in your life right now, and so you're bringing massive value to a lot of people, including myself.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. The very first chapter in the book is called Fill Your Well.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people don't understand is that 90+% of your success in network marketing is going to come from how full your well is before you even started. So how much value did you give to people with no inkling or any idea of getting any money from them? Just value, value, value. You overflow the well with so much value that when it's time to take out of the well, there's plenty there. There's just so much there to take out, and you just keep replenishing it. But let's talk about this. Jennifer, you wrote a book recently. Let's talk about this. What was the inspiration behind the book that you launched not too long ago?
Well, I had like I said, it's not if life happens, it's when life happens, and for me, life happened. And during that time, I found it almost therapeutic to write a book, but I wanted it to have a Christian feel. I wanted to have an entrepreneurial feel, but I also wanted it to have a warrior spirit behind it. And I went through some health stuff, but I also wanted people to kind of hear my story, where I came from. It's basically my story, but also with tips and tricks as far as the entrepreneurial spirit in me and the warrior spirit in me to get through that time in my life and the focus I had to have. And so for me, writing that book was almost like therapy for me, it was more for me. And I had, just to be real transparent, I had gotten an autoimmune disease, which I believe came from my breast implants. I had breast implants and they're toxic. And so I had them removed, and I was really transparent about that because I want to save some lives that way. And I don't want anybody to have to go through what I went through. And so because I had those, I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, and it's really painful. And so I never in a million years thought me, who has been involved in health and wellness and eating right and doing all the right things my whole life, would be that sick. And then to make one grave mistake and get implants because I decided I didn't look good enough without them, because I was in the health and fitness industry doing contests and stuff and doing bikini modeling, that I felt like comparison is a thief of all joy. And I was caught up in the comparison trap with all the other girls. And so I made that grave mistake and went along with them. And if I could just, in my book, just convince one person not to make that mistake, and put 40 toxic chemicals inside their body, because just the shell alone is made out of that, dripping into your system, you're going to get sick. And so that's why I wrote that book. It was more for therapy reasons, but also to inspire and encourage people and to teach people a little bit about having grit, having, the warrior spirit, and just moving through challenges in life and leaning on the Lord for that. For me, if that's where I got really close to God. And I think that's when people do get closest to God, is when something in their life happens to them and they are faced with, God will drop you to your knees for you to seek his face. And he dropped me to my knees, and I seek his face every day now. And because of that, I'm a better person, and I have a better life, and I have more clarity and what's right and what's wrong, where I need to be paying my attention to. So I'm grateful. And sometimes, your test becomes your testimony. And that's what it was for me.
Your transparency is humbling. Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
I said pretty powerful. And so when she said, when life happens, and that's the importance of having a strong business, because we weren't able to be Steve and Jen. I literally had to take care of her. And because of everything we've talked about today, the customer care, the residual income, it gave us the time that I could be for her, at her beck and call. And that's the importance of having a real solid business. And it allows you to be present. And I don't know if you would have rewinded a few years ago and having a full-blown construction company, I couldn't have done that.
Yeah.
That almost makes me want to, and I'm a tough, burly dude, but you understand, like, because of those decisions and because of following the integrity, because of establishing a business that would pay us month after month, I was able to be there for her.
Mm-hmm. It was definitely orchestrated. Mm-hmm.
That's deep. Very, very humbling. What's the name of the book, and where can people get it from?
Warrior Unleashed. It's on Amazon.
Okay. So you guys go pick that up. Warrior Unleashed on Amazon. And that's really, really deep, because, you know, you said something in that process that, hey, the thief of joy is comparison, and comparing to look at like this person. And I'm pretty sure it probably didn't help living in California, because there's a lot of that going on. You know, it's the comparisonitis and trying to look this way and look that way. And I always tell people, I'm like, listen, man, God, that's what God gave you.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what God gave you. Like, roll with that. You know, there's something about that process. And I think that nowadays I'm glad that you caught it and you did something about it, because I'm sure that when people read that book, it's going to hit them as well. But nowadays it's so bad. Nobody is happy with themselves. They're just not happy with themselves, and it's tricky. Go ahead.
Well, we're fearfully and wonderfully made, and it's easy. It was hard. You know, we don't think like that when we're young. We're just caught up in that comparison trap, you know, and some people are caught up in that today too. And I don't feel like God blesses anybody at our expense. And so I always say there's enough for everybody, right? But I'm older now, and I'm wiser now, and I went through some stuff now to get here. But I feel like, you know, comparison is so bad, and it cost me a big part of my health. And so I definitely understand the value of just knowing that we're fearfully and wonderfully made, and we all have something, our unique gifts to give to the world that our world needs. God made us all for a purpose, right? So I feel like we need to hone in on that. I mean, what is your gift, and why are you so special? And it's there. You just have to realize it, and move with that. And so today, you know, I have, you know, I had my explant surgery, and he has been by my side the whole time, and I'm healthier. I'm detoxing. I've done it all. And so I'm in a really good space right now. And I'm even more, you know, I was very much involved with health, but now I'm even more about my home needs to be my sanctuary. Your home needs to be your sanctuary. You need to get all the toxic stuff out of your home, and you need to protect yourself from all the EMF and the 5G, even though we're surrounded around it all the time. There's things we can do to protect ourselves and our health. And we need to make our homes that space where we feel safe and happy and joyful. And that's the kind of environment we have in our home. And I love it, whatever it is. I think it's important to make your home your sanctuary in everything. So it's a place where you can retreat to. And I'm sure you love your home, Ced, right?
Oh yeah.
You got your fish tanks in there and stuff. Like, it's something that makes you feel good, right?
That's the piece. You know, it was so funny when we had the pandemic. You know, a couple of my friends would come over and was like, "Hey man, you got TTO National Park," and I'm like, "What are you talking about? Everything else is closed, so we can go and boat and hike and, you know, go fishing and jet skiing and swimming and this and that." Like, friends would come to my house and bring like 25, 30 people with them and start cooking out. I'm like, "What are you doing? Like, where all these people coming from? It's like everything else is closed." And I'm like, all right, whatever, but it's cool. But let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about one other thing here, you know, and before we talk about it, you're gonna know where I'm going with this. Come here. Up. All right, so you have been able to create a life that allows you to spend time in a passionate area. And something that I know that you're very passionate about are the puppies, the doggies. So let's talk a little bit about how the business has allowed you to spend more time with the furries. And you always ask me about Adonis from time to time. Oh, how's the dog doing? Da da da. So he was sitting here down by my feet. So I had to pop him up here real quick because this is my buddy right here. This is my roadie. But you do the same. So talk about how the business. Okay, get that. Good boy. Let's talk about how the business has allowed you to spend that time and go through that process and enjoy the fur babies.
Oh yeah, so they are my babies. I mean, I could spend all day, every day with them, so I make them a part of my life. And I'm a stay-at-home fur mama. That's what I call myself. It's like we get to design our lives. Yeah, we could really design our lives, and so for me, it's so important. I mean, I was never able to have kids of my own. I met Steve, and I was so grateful that he had 2 girls, a 9-year-old and 11-year-old, who are now 29 or 28 and 30. And so they're part of my life. But for me, I've always had a huge heart for animals. I love dogs. I think life is better with the dog. And it saddens me that people, have to leave their dogs for 8 hours and go to a job. And I'm just so grateful that I get to spend, home, my life with my dogs. As a matter of fact, it's what I like to do. I like to hike with my dogs. Those are our outdoor activities. I love photographing. So I love taking photos of my dog. I love photographing. So we're going to do a photo shoot today, but I get to do everything with my dog sitting right by my side, just like you do right there, sitting there. So I think it's really important to design your life. I mean, I think everybody can take that and design their life to how they want it, but they have to be willing to do the work. They have to lean in, get a coach, get a mentor. Cedrick Harris is amazing. I mean, if you're on his channel, you know how amazing he is. I mean, if you take 1 or 2 of those golden nuggets every single month that he drops on us, and we just put those into action, imagine how much different your life is going to be. Because insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, right? And if you just make a change, your life will never be the same. But you have to decide and make a decision and move forward. And for me, I watched my sisters work the corporate jobs. I have 3 sisters. I watched them put their pantyhose and heels on and commute every single day. And I told my dad early on that, I'm sorry, Dad, that's just not going to be for me. And I was that outcast in my family. My dad was afraid of me. My sisters weren't allowed to hang out with me because I was an entrepreneur, I think, right out of the womb. And I knew I was going to be different. And I said, Dad, I'm going to have people work for me. I'm sorry. They're not, I'm doing things different. And he just was upset. Today, he's stoked. He's very, very proud of me, but I believe that we can design our own life if we're willing to do the work. And you're going to go work for somebody. I'd rather work for myself. That's just how I am. And I'm passionate about that. I'm passionate about my animals and staying home with them too.
Yes. Designing your own life. That's the name of the game. That's the biggest thing that I want everybody to pick out of what you just said, designing your own life. Speaking to both of you, here's the cool thing about this interview. A lot of the interviews that I've done have gone in, different directions. This one was a very, very passionate, heartfelt, truth interview. For people to really get, hey, listen, you can be successful in other ventures, but if the passion isn't there, do something that you're passionate about. I think people can see the humbleness in the both of you and can see, what a power couple looks like, the epitome of it, and to be able to work within integrity, to understand putting God first inside of your life, to understand how to design your life the right way, how to work with the right people. You've created some amazing relationships, and you've never been afraid to bet on yourself. So this was very good. I really, really love this interview. And I want to end it by asking you guys a question that I have asked everybody toward the end of the interview. And I want you to really think about this. The name of the book is Untold Upline Secrets. And I want you to go back 6 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever it was. If there were 1 or 2 things that your upline told you, or a sideline or a coach or a mentor, 1 or 2 things that they told you to do, and you did not do it, you did not do it, but 2 or 3 years later you did it, or 5 years later you did it, or 8 years later you did it, and everything changed, or one thing changed, or something changed. If you could put your finger on what those 1 or 2 things might be, what would it be?
I can tell you for me, I remember asking when I was getting started, I remember asking a 7-figure earner, if you can tell me one thing, what would you tell me? And he said, keep it super simple. The more you talk your prospect out of joining you, because everything that you're saying, if you're going to describe your whole product and you're going to say all the scientific background around your whole product, they're thinking, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? And they're thinking, no, I can't do this. But if you point them to the tool, and you're not the tool, you're just the messenger, and you point them to the tool, you will build a massive business. Let the tools do the work, lean on your support team, and you're going to build a massive business.
Awesome. What about you, Steve?
I've been humble. I just letting her have the mic most of today. I don't know if people are ready for the energy, right? I got the same energy you got. So two came instantly to mind. Two stuck out right immediately when you asked that question. One was mirror. Mirror the person you want to become. Mirror that person that's in the shoes you want to be. Mirror. Like they always said, look in the mirror and and become that person you want to be. Mirror that person that's in the shoes you want to become. But the most powerful one was, and it didn't click right off the bat. It didn't really click in the beginning. I was so wound up and I love energy and I just want to inspire people. But when this was said to me, when it hit home. And it was these very words: treat your business like a business and it will pay you like a business. And when that hit, when I sat down, I was alone that day. I was like, am I really treating my business like, see, I ran a business. I've worked for businesses. I've seen successful businesses, but am I treating my business like a business? And the day that it hit, everything shifted. I started reading differently. I started studying differently. I started absorbing differently, and everything shifted. I got goosebumps right now. It just shifted. I started treating my business like a business, dedicating the right time to go after the right results and having the right outcomes. And that's when the shift happened. And so many people told me that. Yeah. But when it hit, it hit.
Cedrick, can I just say, people are going to go to work, and what he says is so powerful, because people, if you just treat it like a minimum wage job, you have to go to work on, if you got hired at Taco Bell, they're going to make you show up from 9 to 5. You're going to have to do A through Z, or you're not going to have a job. If you just treated it like that every day, if you treated your business like that every day, you would grow, right? If you did the work. And so I feel like what he said is so powerful. You treat business like a business is just so powerful. It'll pay you like a business.
Treat your business like a business, mirror the person that you want to become, and keep it simple. Like those 3 things are so powerful. And the whole purpose of these interviews and the books and everything is to literally shorten the learning curve. Shorten the learning curve for the person, for them to get that aha moment. It's like, oh, I'm 2 years in, got it. I'm 6 months in, got it. I'm 5 years in, got it. I plan to be here for another 20, 30, 40 years. And at the end of the day, it's all about who we become along the way. 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, we might be in network marketing, we might not, but we can look and say, who did we become along the way? That's the beauty of it. That's the part that most people get. It's like, I attribute so much to this industry because who did I become along the way? And where would I be if it was never introduced to me? It's personal development with the product attached to it. So when you say mirror, when you say treat your business like a business, a hobby doesn't pay any money. Me and Steve, we like fishing. Okay. Funny story, Steve, when I was in the 5th grade, we walked across the stage and they said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, I want to be the very first TV black fisherman. Everybody was laughing. I didn't think it was funny. I'm like, I didn't see anybody on TV that looked like me. It was Roland Martin, Orlando Wilson, Jimmy Houston, all the guys. And I'm like, I want to see somebody like me on TV fishing. Like, that's what I want to be when I grow up. I didn't know I was going to end up in this industry, but as a hobby, it costs money to go fishing. As a hobby, it costs money to hunt. So if you treat your business like a business, if we decided to be professional fishermen or professional hunters, whatever it is, we would treat it that way. Okay, we would invest into it. we would invest into the camera crew. We would invest into the people to be around us. We would invest into the support, you know, the sponsorships, all those different things. So I love the fact that you guys said that. I'm humbled that you guys spent the last hour plus here dropping so much gold. It's always a beautiful thing to spend some time with you guys, watching you, you know, grow your business the way you have. It's just amazing. And I hope that people really, truly get some goodies and nuggets from this particular interview, because this was definitely one of the best. So thank you so much, Steve. I got to get out there soon. You've got that weather, so we just gotta figure it out when we're going fishing together. Like, we just gotta figure it out.
Bro, now I got a bunch of witnesses on. Now I got a bunch of witnesses on here. Look,
Yeah.
mi casa, su casa. I got the boat. I got the lake. I got the pole. Bro, it's on you, man.
All right. Say less. We gotta schedule it now. We're gonna get through this year, finish out this year, and then first quarter we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen, and for sure I can say that because now that it's on video, then when we do the pictures, they can say it as Steve followed through. So it'll be good. So thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate you.
Thank you,
Much
sir.
love to you. Keep up the great work, and we'll chat soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you
so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye guys.